नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयन्तीरये। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीर्वुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वशास्त्राब्धिपीयूष सर्ववेदैकतत्पल सर्वसिद्धान्तरत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैकदृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो कलिद्वान्तादितादित्य श्रीकृष्णे परिवर्तितः परमानन्दपाठाय प्रेमवर्षक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोऽस्तु ते। मदेकबन्धो मत्सङ्गिन् मद्गुरो मन्महादन मन्निष्ठारक मद्भाग्य मदानन्द नमोऽस्तु ते। असाधु साधुतादायिन् अतिनीचोच्चताकर स्थानमुञ्च कदाचिन्मां प्रेम्णा हृत्कण्ठयो स्फुर। Hare Krishna. So we are discussing the 95th anuccheda. Srimad Bhagavatam is the complete scripture. Just like Bhagavan is the complete manifestation of the supreme absolute truth. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam is the complete scripture because Srimad Bhagavatam describes that Bhagavan. Srimad Bhagavatam describes the Paramadharma directed toward the Supreme Personality of God. So in this Anucheda, Jiva Goswami is discussing in minute detail every word of the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Let us recite that shloka once more and repeat after me. Dharma projhita kaitavotra paramo निर्मत्सराणां सताम्.
धर्म प्रोजित कैतवो अत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सताम्
वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदम् तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्.
वेदं वास्तवम् अत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्
श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वर.
श्रीमद्भागवते महामुने कृते किं वा परैरीश्वर
सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तत्क्षणात्.
तद्यो हृदय अवरुध्यते अत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तत्क्षणात्
The Supreme Lord, you can read the translation. The Supreme Lord is.
The Supreme Lord is immediately arrested in the heart of the virtuous as soon as they so much as desire to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, which reveals the supreme duty of the self, devoid of all deception or compromise, and devoid of all. De- so, so what need is which up. So,
And which is undertaken by
which
the
is
pure-hearted.
undertaken by the pure hearted, devoid of envy, the one truly abiding substantive which grants auspiciousness and uproots the threefold miseries, is the truth investigated here in Srimad Bhagavatam. So what need is there for any scripture other than this beautiful Bhagavatam composed by the great sage Vyasadeva?
So, we have been discussing this anuccheda. We discussed how Srimad Bhagavatam is superior to the Karma Kanda and the Jnana Kanda. And we discussed the meaning of Srimad Bhagavata. So further we'll discuss. So here. Now the glory of the Srimad Bhagavatam is described from the point of view of the author of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because the verse says that Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Mulanam Srimad Bhagavatam Mahamuni Krute. Mahamuni. So Tadrisha Prabhavavatve Karanam Paramashreshta Kartrukatvam Apyaha. So the underlying cause of Bhagavatam being so influential is that its author is supremely eminent. Who is that author? Mahamunihi. So nowadays also many many publishers, famous publishers, they approach famous personalities in the social media to write a book because they know that if he writes a book, then it will be so many these things will be sold actually. Many book copies will be sold. When somebody is already famous, then they just want him to write a book, even if he is not a author per se, but whatever he writes, it will be sold. So the author of the Srimad Bhagavatam is Mahamunihi. Shri Bhagavan tasyaiva parama vichara paranga tattvat mahaprabhavagana shiromanitvacha. So this is expressed by the word Mahamuni. In this case, the appellation Mahamuni refers to none other than Sri Bhagavan, because he alone is supremely proficient in deliberation. Parama vichara parangatva. Vichara means deliberation. In deliberation, in thinking, he is the supreme one. And because he is the Shiromani, crest jewel of all greatly influential person, Mahaprabhava Gana Shiromanitvacha. We discussed in the Tattva Sandarbha also how from the point of view of the author, Vedavyasa's glories. It's described in the Shastra that Vyasochishtam Jagat Sarvam. This is a famous saying. The entire world is nothing but the Uchishta of Vyasa. Means whatever knowledge we see, everything is coming borrowed from Vyasa. There's another saying which says that the meaning of the saying is that the mind of the Vyasadev is unlimited like the Akasha, the sky. Akasha is unlimited. Similarly, the mind of Vyasadeva is unlimited like Akasha. So, sa munir bhutva samachintayat iti shrutehe. The Vedas affirm that the Lord deliberated after becoming a muni or a thinker. Tena pratamam chatushloki rupena sankshepatakha prakashite. Kasmai yena vibhashitoyam ityadyanusarena sampurna eva va prakashite. So the Lord first gave the Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 shlokas. Bhagavan. And also according to the 12th canto, 12.13.19, Kasma Yena Vibhashitam, according to this shloka, the Lord enlightened Brahma. This means that the Lord also revealed the entire Bhagavatam, complete Bhagavatam. Lord gave the Chatushloki Bhagavatam to Brahma, and the Lord also gave the complete Bhagavatam. So Tadevam Shraishtya Jatam Anyatrapi Prayaha Sambhavatu Nama Sarvajnana Shastra Paramagneya Purushartha Shiromani Shri Bhagavat Sakshatkaras Tvatraiva Sulabha Iti Upasana Kandebhyopi Shraishtyam Vadan Sarvordva Prabhavamaha Kimva Iti. Bhagavatam is superior to Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda, which we discussed last time. Bhagavatam is also superior to the Upasana Kanda. Even if Tadevam Shrestya Jatam Anyatrapi Prayaga Sambhavatu, even if some of the excellence of the Srimad Bhagavatam may be found elsewhere in other scriptures, let it be, Bhavatu, so be it, Sambhavatu. But nevertheless, the direct perception, direct realization, Sri Bhagavat Sakshatkaras, the direct realization of the Supreme Person. Who is what is the nature of the Supreme Person? Sarva Jnana Shastra Paramagneya Purushartha Shiromani. This is the adjective for Sri Bhagavan. That supreme person who is the Shiromani, crest jewel of all the goals of human life, and who is described as the supreme knowable in all the scriptures dealing with spiritual knowledge. And that direct realization of that supreme person, Sulabha, is easily available only in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Atra eva Sulabha. Atra is easily, direct realization of the Supreme Bhagavan is easily available only through the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, in this way, Upasana Kandebhyopi Shreshtam. In this way, while declaring the excellence of the Srimad Bhagavatam, even over that of the Upasana Kanda, this Bhagavatam verse indicates that by the word Kimva, Sadyo Hridya Avarudyate, Srimad Bhagavate Mahamunikrite Kimva Parairishwara. Kimva means what need is there for any scripture other than this? What is the reading any other scripture? So, just 1 minute. Further, he says, Paraihi Shastrais Tadukta Sadhanairva Ishwaro Bhagavan Hridi Kimva Sadyayeva Avarudyate Sthiri Kriyate Vashabdaha Katakshe Kintu Vilambena Katanchideva अत्र तु शुश्रूषुभिः श्रोतुम् इच्छद्भिरेव तत् क्षणादेव अवरुध्यते. So now your question may be asked. Paraihi Shastraihi, by the other scriptures, does the Supreme Lord Bhagavan become immediately captured or established within the heart as a result of hearing any other scripture, or as a result of following any other spiritual practices recommended by them? So a question is asked. Paraihi Shastraihi Tadukta Sadhanairva Ishwaro Bhagavan Hridi Kimva Sadyayeva Avarudyate Sthiri Kriyate. So the word Va Shabda in this question is used ironically to indicate that if at all this may happen, it can occur only after a long delay. So in case if the Supreme Lord becomes captured in the heart by hearing other scriptures, it will happen only after a long delay. Vilambena katanchi deva. But in the case of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shushusha means what? Shrotu michyadbihi. Desiderative form of the verb. Desiderative form means what? Like for example, when I say, I desire to eat. I desire to eat. So here we are using three words. Desire to eat. Aham kaditum ichchami. I am using aham I kaditum ichchami. Two words. I desire to eat. But the same thing can also be described in one word itself. Kaditum ichchami. Of course, I have to find the exact form. Kaditum ichchami. For example, kaditum ichchami. I told you the exact form. Sorry. It is slow here. So, aham kaditum ichchami. I'm using two words, kaditum and ichchami. But I can use only one word, aham chikadishami. So, desire to eat, that can be made as a separate verb. And then you can have the form chikadishami, chikadishavaha, chikadishamaha, like that. This is called as a desiderative form of the verb. Whichever action, desire to do that action, normally we have to use three words. I desire to study. I desire to hear. So, shrotum ichchami, for that we say, we can desiderative form of the verb will be, we have to find the exact word. But shushrusha means what? Shushrusha means shrotum ichcha. So shushrushubihi means what? Shrotum ichyadbireva. In the case of the Srimad Bhagavatam, simply by desiring to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord becomes captured in the heart of a person. But in the case of the other scriptures, if at all Supreme Lord will become captured by hearing the other scriptures, it will happen after a long time. Vilambena katanchideva. But in the case of the Srimad Bhagavatam, simply by desiring to hear Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord becomes immediately captured. Tat kshanadeva avarudyate. Then further he says, Nanu idameva tarhi sarve kimiti na shrunvanti then everyone should hear only Srimad Bhagavatam. But why everyone is not hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? Tatra aha kritibiriti sukritibirithyartah. Only those who have the spiritual pious credits, sukritibir, only they get the desire to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Shravanechatu tadrisha sukritim vina notpadyata iti bhavaha. Desire to hear Srimad Bhagavatam does not arise without the spiritual pious credits. Tadrisha sukritim vina na utpadyate iti bhavaha. अथवा अपरैर मोक्ष पर्यंत कामना रहितेश्वर आराधन लक्षण धर्म ब्रह्म साक्षात्कारादिभिर such a long samasa अपरैर मोक्ष पर्यंत कामना रहितेश्वराराधन लक्षण धर्म ब्रह्म साक्षात्कारादिभिर उक्तैरनुक्तैर्वा साध्यैस्तैरत्र किं वा कियद्वा माहात्म्यम् उपपन्नमित्यर्थः. Alternatively, अथवा if we read the words किं वा परैर ईश्वर, that is the third line, the word is the, we can read that as किं वा परैहि, or we can read it as किं वा अपरैहि. That means like, what need is there for anything inferior? What is the need for hearing any other scripture apart from Bhagavatam? The meaning would be as follows. So if we read the words Kimva Paraihi as Kimva Aparaihi, what need is there for anything inferior? The meaning would be as follows. How great a significance can be attributed to any other attainable spiritual goal? Aparair moksha paryanta. What great significance? How can you attribute a great significance to any other spiritual goal, whether stated herein or not stated, including the religious duties involving worship of the Lord, devoid of all desire, even that for liberation, or including even the direct realization of Brahman? Essentially, it means that because in the other scriptures, the goal of human life is described as mukti. It could be kaivalya mukti or other types of personal mukti. So when it is mentioned, what is the need of any other scripture, by that it is indicated that how great a significance can be attributed to other spiritual goals. Liberation, or even the other spiritual goals, like other types of liberation, which are described as the goals in other scriptures. And then, yato ya ishwarah kritibihi, ishwara kritibihi katanchit tattat sadhananukrama labdaya bhaktya कृतार्थैहि सद्यस् तद एकक्षणमेव व्याप्य हृदि स्थिरीक्रियते स एवात्र श्रोतुमिच्छद्भिरेव तत्क्षणमारभ्य सर्वदा एव इति, सर्वदैव इति. Very beautiful. So when a person practices the processes given in other scriptures, so the Lord is held only momentarily in the heart. of those virtuous persons who have attained fulfillment owing to the grace of bhakti that ensues from these other practices. When a person follows the processes other than bhakti, then by the grace of bhakti, then a person gets darshan of Krishna, or the Lord is held momentarily only in the heart of such people. Tat eka kshanameva vyapya. But on the other hand, in the case of the Srimad Bhagavatam, if somebody even desires to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, shrotum ichadbireva, right from that moment onwards, tat kshanam arabhya sarvada eva iti. The Lord is always held in the heart of such a person. When a person desires to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, right from that moment, the Lord is constantly in the heart of such a person. Permanently becomes established in the heart of such a person. And then finally he says, Tasmad atra kandatraya rahasyasya pravyakta pratipadanader visheshata ईश्वराकर्षि विद्यारूपत्वाच्च इदमेव सर्वशास्त्रेभ्यः श्रेष्ठम् अतएव अत्र इति पदस्य त्रिरुक्ति कृता. So kanda traya refers to karma kanda, jnana kanda, upasana kanda. Therefore Srimad Bhagavatam is superior to all other scriptures because it explicitly reveals the secrets of the three divisions of the Vedas. Kandatraya Rahasya, Pravyakta Pratipadana, and more particularly Visheshata, because it embodies the knowledge that attracts the Lord. Ishvara Akarshi Vidya Rupatvacha, because Srimad Bhagavatam, because it reveals the secret of Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. And secondly, because it gives the knowledge which attracts the Lord. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest or the topmost of all the Shastras. Sarva Shastrebhya Shreshtam. So therefore, in the shloka, the word Atra is mentioned 3 times. Dharma Projita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Srimad Bhagavate Mahamunikrite Kim va Pareirishvara Sadyo Hridyavarudhyate Atra Shushrusi Bishtakshanat. Therefore, Atra is mentioned 3 times. Sahi Nirdaranarteti. And Nirdarana Arteti. In the meaning of Nirdarana, that means among all the Shastra, this is the topmost. Nirdarana Shashti, for example, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about among the mountains, among the I am the Himalaya. He is talking about the greatest in that category. So among all the Shastra, Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest. That is the Nirdarana Artha. Ato Nityam etadeva sarvaireva shrotavyam iti bhavaha. So therefore, this book alone is to be heard and studied by everyone at all times. And that is the essence. So we'll just go through the commentary. We have discussed almost most of the points, but commentary, some other points. Commentary is also a little long, but In the previous section, Jiva Goswami demonstrated that Bhagavan is the complete and indivisible absolute reality. All other manifestations are dependent on and thus inferior to him. That is the central theme of Bhagavat Sandarbha. So the primary meanings of the words like Tattva and Brahma, they find their support only in Bhagavan. So according to the eligibility, Bhagavan manifests in different features as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So the yogis, jnanis and the bhaktas. So all these various features simultaneously exist in the person of Sri Krishna, the original form of Bhagavan, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Now, how can we understand that Bhagavan? How can we realize that Bhagavan? In order to answer this, Jiva Goswami begins this anuccheda by quoting the second verse of the Bhagavatam. It is possible to realize that Bhagavan by the power of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. There are so many scriptures, but Srimad Bhagavatam is unique because of its inherent power to attract Bhagavan. Sadhyo Hrit Avarudyate. So, in the Tattva Sandarbha first section, we discussed how Srimad Bhagavatam is a Chakravarti Pramana, having the highest validity in the matter of the complete understanding of transcendence. So, Srimad Bhagavatam can grant the ultimate end of all that may be aspired to. By glorifying the means of attaining that ultimate end, the author simultaneously glorifies Bhagavan. So, in this anuccheda, Jiva Goswami is glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the means of attaining the Bhagavan. So, by glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, Jiva Goswami is glorifying Bhagavan. So, therefore, he analyzes the second verse of the Bhagavatam. And he talks about the qualifications. This verse talks about the qualifications for hearing Bhagavatam and the effect of hearing Bhagavatam. So, generally, in any book, there is an Anubandha Chatushtaya. 4 things have to be mentioned: the subject of the book, the qualification for reading that book, the result of hearing that book, and the relation between the book and the subject. This verse, the second verse of this Bhagavatam talks about the qualification for hearing Bhagavatam, the result of hearing Bhagavatam. So, among the many processes that lead to realization of God, none is so potent as hearing Bhagavatam. Simply by the desire to hear Bhagavatam, Bhagavan is attracted. But this desire to hear appears only in the people who are very pious, spiritually pious, Kritibihi. Therefore, when Pradyumna Mishra approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think, Antya Leela, I think. Pradyumna Mishra approached Mahaprabhu and asked Mahaprabhu, I want to hear about Krishna. I want to hear Bhagavatam. Mahaprabhu immediately congratulated. You are very fortunate because you have a desire to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. You have a desire to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Mahaprabhu immediately congratulated, and then Mahaprabhu told Pradyumna Mishra to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Ramananda Rai. The desire to hear this truth appears only in the hearts of the Kritibihi. So, and Nirmat Saranam is mentioned. Absence of envy, defined as envy means intolerance of others' progress, intolerance of others' opulence. So that is the principal sign of those who are spiritually pious. What is the sign of Kritibihi? Absence of envy. That is the principal sign. Only those who are free from this ego-centered, ego-fortifying disease are qualified to realize Bhagavan. For it is the barrier that prevents entry into the spiritual realm. Krishna mentions non-enviousness in so many places in the Bhagavad Gita. ये मे मतम इदम नित्यम अनुतिष्ठन्ति मानवा श्रद्धावन्तो अनसूयन्तो मुच्यन्ते तेपि कर्मभिः इदं तु ते गुह्यतमं प्रवक्ष्याम्यनसूयवे श्रद्धावान् अनसूयश्च शृणुयाद् अपियो नरः इदं ते नातपस्काय नाभक्ताय कदाचन न च अशुश्रूषवे वाच्यं न च मां योऽभ्यसूयति. So, envy is the barrier that prevents entry into the spiritual realm. Vaikuntha is completely free from any trace of such envy. 3rd canto, 15th chapter. Mandara kunda kurabodh parachampakarna punnaga naga bakulambuja parijata gandhirchite tulasika baranena tasya tasmims tapassumanaso bakumanayanti. The different fragrant giving flowers, plants in the Vaikuntha, they appreciate the special good fortune of Tulasi, of being always situated in the lotus feet of Krishna. The Prabhupada says there is no envy in Vaikuntha. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for Satam, or those established. Satam means Sat. Sat refers to supreme truth. Those established in the supreme truth. Satyam Param. So the mention of these two qualities, Nirmatsaranam Satam, together indicates that freedom from the tendency to devalue other beings is correlated with the vision to perceive the value. Perceive the value of all beings. See, these two words are used together. Nirmatsaranam Satam. So Nirmatsara means being freed from the tendency to devalue other people, other things. So this quality is connected with the quality of Satam. That means the vision to perceive what is truly valuable. That is Param Satya, the underlying essence of everything. That means to the extent when a person perceives the essence of everything, one will not be envious of others. Because one will see that as the manifestation of Krishna's opulence. Therefore, 10th chapter Bhagavad Gita concludes with Atava bahunaitena kimnyatena tavarjuna Vishtabhyaham idam kritsnam ekamshena sito jagat. Krishna says that whatever you may see something wonderful or beautiful in this world, it is nothing but a amsha of me. So Jiva Goswami also says that Nirmatsara indicates compassion, especially in the sense of non-violence towards animals. That is why the Bhagavatam 10th canto says that Nivritta Tarushair Upagiyamanat Bhavaushadaat Shrotra Manobiramat Kavuttama Shloka Gunanuvadat Puman Virajeta Vina Pashugnat. Who except a person who is a butcher, killer of the animals, will be interested in, only a butcher, killer of the animals will not be interested in hearing Krishna Katha. So therefore, Jiva Goswami also compares Nirmatsara means basically compassionate activity, compassionate nature, non-violence towards animals. So Bhagavatam propounds the highest dharma, Parama Dharma, because it teaches the means of attracting the most attractive person, Sri Krishna. That is why it is a Parama Dharma, Sri Krishna Akarshini. Krishna means all attractive. Bhagavatam teaches the dharma to attract the most attractive person. The only thing that attracts Sri Krishna is pure bhakti. The Bhagavatam teaches Shuddha Bhakti, which is devoid of all cheating propensities. The desire for liberation is also a cheating. And so any deviation from the natural function of rendering favorable service to Krishna is a deception. The highest type of deceit is to deny the very existence of that entity for whom such service is meant, which is the Advaita. In the monastic view, they deny they say that ultimately there is only the Nirvishesha Brahman exists. That Nirakara Brahman exists. So that is the highest peak of cheating, where a person denies the existence of the entity for whom such service is meant. By subscribing to the monastic view, whose one-dimensionality fails to account for the inherent potency within the Supreme Transcendent. So therefore, except for pure devotional service, all other processes involve some cheating. So there are three divisions of the Vedic literature: Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. Karma Kanda, you can read this from this. Karma Kanda deals with.
Karma Kanda deals with the result-oriented action and the purification of action. It is meant for those whose self-identification is tied to the body-mind complex and to the entire network of physical and social relations that such identification entails. As long as the conventional self-sense prevails, attachment to sensual, emotional, and mental gratification remains prominent. Karmakand addresses this level of self-identity, emphasizing that harmony and well-being, even at the conventional level of existence, is possible only by assuming responsibility for the consequences of one's actions in accordance with the universal laws. The karma perspective thus regulates unbridled desires for enjoyment that creates imbalance and disharmony in the self system, and hence it gradually brings about the purification of desire and action. Upasana Kant deals with meditation and worship. It is intended for those whose sense of self encompasses more truth than the body mind self. Although still rooted in a separate self sense, there is an intuition that self and cosmos are grounded within a greater reality. Upasana Kant is relevant at this level of self identity, emphasizing that value for the self lies in seeking out its connection with that reality through well informed disciplines, that is, meditation and worship, intended for that purpose. It teaches one to see everything as manifestation of Lord's energy and thus allows the self sense to be expanded and reorganized at the higher dimensional frequency of Sattva Guna. Jnanakanda deals with the ultimate reality, beyond the cosmos and the gunas of the nature. It is intended for those who have seen through the separate self sense altogether, at which point Karmakand is no longer of relevance. Jnanakanda is applicable when the self concept proceeds to the transcendental self or Atma. It refines awareness to strip away all the subtle layers of identification with the non self and trains one to recognize everything as Brahman, leading ultimately to realization of the unqualified absolute. So,
this is about the Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, Jnana Kanda. So, karma is intended for the body mind self. Upasana is for the higher sattvic self, the self in the Sattva Guna. And Jnana Kanda is meant for the transcendental self. But Srimad Bhagavatam transcends all three approaches. Because it deals with the dimension of being beyond liberation. In the Jnana Marga, the transcendental self is defined as something free from all the upadhis. But Srimad Bhagavatam redefined the transcendental self in its full potentiality. It defined the transcendental self as the eternal servant of Bhagavan in relation to the complete whole Bhagavan. The Jnana Kanda, the transcendental self is defined as only free from the material upadhis. But the Srimad Bhagavatam gives a spiritual identity. So therefore, Bhagavatam bestows not only the respective results of the other three paths, but actualizes the highest potential available to conscious beings. That is the love, that is what is the highest potential available? That is Krishna Prema. So therefore, Shivadam Tapatrayon Muladam. What is the Shivadam? What is the highest auspiciousness it awards? It awards the highest bliss, and Tapatrayon Mulanam completely uproots the three types of material miseries. That means it uproots even the root cause, that is ignorance, the cause behind the miseries. So everyone is suffering because of lack of awareness of the Supreme Lord, the conscious source of our very existence. So Bhagavatam offers explicit knowledge and awareness of Bhagavan in abundance. Therefore, it is called Srimad Bhagavatam, the beautiful treatise on Bhagavan. And then he explains, we discussed last time, explained in the purport, Srimad Bhagavatam. Shri means the energy of the Lord. The crude form Srimad is formed by adding the Matup Pratyaya, indicating a permanent connection or relation. That means the Shri, the potency or the energy is eternally available in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Just like in the holy name, all the energies of Krishna are available. It is not incidental or acquired. Just as a fire has a natural burning capacity, Bhagavatam similarly has a natural potency to attract and reveal Krishna. That means if a person hears Bhagavatam even without understanding the meaning, if one recites or hears Bhagavatam even without understanding the meaning, it will manifest its potency, provided the recipient has a required eligibility of honoring the value of all beings, Nirmatsara. That means at least he should have the offenseless mindset. If a person has offenseless mindset, then even if he does not know the meaning of the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavatam will manifest its potency when a person hears. So Bhagavatam is like a holy name which does not depend on any prior knowledge. Like in some things in this world, Like Vishnu Dutas, they tell the glories of the holy name to the Yamadutas. 6th canto, 2nd chapter. Ajnanat atava jnanat uttama shloka namayat sankirtitam ajnanat atava jnanat uttama shloka namayat sankirtanam shloka. अज्ञानात् अथवा ज्ञानात् उत्तमश्लोकनामयत् संकीर्तितमगं पुंसो दहेदेतो यथा नलः. Just like when a person touches fire knowingly or unknowingly, fire will burn. Similarly, when a person chants the holy name knowingly or unknowingly, the holy name will act. Another example he gives that yatagadam viryatamam upayuktam yadrichaya ajanatopyatmagunam kuryad mantropyudakritah. When a person takes the medicine knowingly or unknowingly, it acts. Similarly, the holy name. There are some things in this world which will act only when you know, when you have knowledge of it. Like, for example, suppose next to you there is a snake is there. You are just touching your hand, something, or you are sitting in the chair. Just below the chair there is a snake is there. But only when you know that snake is there, then it will create fear in your heart. If you don't know that the snake is there below your chair, it will not create fear. So, in this way, there are some things in this world which will have an effect only when you have knowledge of it. If you don't know snake is there below your chair, it will not create fear. Or suppose, but on the other hand, in the case of the fire, whether you know it is a fire, whether you knowingly touch fire or unknowingly touch fire, it will burn you. It will have its effect. Whether you knowingly take the medicine or unknowingly take the medicine, it will have its effect. So similarly, the holy name. So Srimad is an equal part of the book's name, joined to the word Bhagavata as a Karmadaraya Samasa. Just like a blue lotus, blueberry, is significant in conveying the complete and specific sense of the word. Similarly, Srimad carries the identical type of significance as an equal member of a compound word. It is not simply some honorific word. Sometimes we offer Shri Suresh. That means out of politeness, in order to show respect, we are giving a honorific prefix. That is not part of the person's name. Shri is not a part of the person's name, Suresh, but out of respect we are giving. But in this case of Srimad Bhagavata, Srimad is not simply a honorific prefix. It is a Srimad is a equal part of the name of the book. If you don't regard Srimad as part of the name of the book Bhagavata, it would give rise to the defect called as Avimrishta Videyamsha. That's what we discussed. Putting the predicate before the subject. When you say Suresh is a poet, this is a proper sentence. When you say a poet is Suresh, you are putting the predicate before the subject. There is the avimrishta videyamsha. So when a poet is Rama, then the confusion is introduced, because when the friend first hears the word poet, which is unknown, he would not know to whom it refers. So if Srimat is not an equal part of the name, and yet one uses it to refer to the book, then one is putting the predicate before the subject. This is considered a defect because it delays comprehension of the sentence. So Srimat is an equal part of the name of the book. And then, so the complete title of the book is Srimad Bhagavatam. Jiva Goswami is confirming this from the quote from the Garuda Purana as well as Sridhar Swami. So whenever the book is referred as Bhagavatam, it should be understood that the Srimat is preceding that. Just like sometimes Satyabhama is referred as Bhama, or Krishnadasa Kaviraja Goswami is referred only by the word Kaviraja. But it is understood that Krishnadasa is preceding that. So, like that. So, yeah, Bhagavatam is also great because the author is great. A product's quality depends on the skill and the competency of its producer. So, Mahamuni refers to the Lord who originally spoke the Bhagavatam to Brahma. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye. So, Mahamuni Krite, it can refer to Krishna, who spoke the Bhagavatam to Brahma. And that he is also called as the best of the sages, Rishinam Rishabha. In the Shogde Goswami's prayer, the word comes, Prachodita yena purasaraswati vitanvata jasya satim smritim hridi swalakshana pradurabhut kilasyata same rishinam rishabha prasidatam. Rishinam Rishabha. The Lord is called the best of the sages, just as he is named here, Mahamuni. And in the Uddhav Gita, Krishna hinted that he is the original speaker of the Bhagavatam. So when the subsequent creation took place, I spoke the Vedic knowledge to Brahma because I myself am the religious principles in the Vedas. Mayadau Brahmane Prokta Dharmo Yasyam Madatmaka. And then Jiva Goswami also cites an untraceable Vedic reference wherein the Lord is described as Mahamuni in Padma Purana. And Sutta Goswami explicitly says that in the Padma Purana, Krishnasya Brahmane Nabi Pankajasthaya Hridaivahi Tat Chatushlokam Akilam Brahmaiva Priti Bhashate. Sri Krishna spoke the 4 seed verses of Srimad Bhagavatam to Brahma through his heart when the latter was sitting on the lotus barn of the Lord's navel. These 4 verses are the embodiment of the absolute reality. Jiva Goswami also, on the basis of the Bhagavatam 12.3.19, hints that Krishna spoke the entire Bhagavatam, not just the 4 verses. Maybe in another kalpa. That means the Lord revealed this book to Brahma. That means complete book. Kasmai yena vibhashito ayam. Kasmai yena vibhashito ayam. Ayam, it refers to the complete book. Since the cycle of creation is beginningless, it is possible that at some other time, the Lord revealed the 4 seed verses. At some time, the Lord spoke the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, and in some other kalpa, he spoke the complete Bhagavatam. So therefore, Bhagavatam is superior from the point of view of the author of the Bhagavatam and from the point of view of the speaker of the Bhagavatam. And Suta Goswami confirmed this in the Bhagavata Mahatmya. What is the shloka? Iti cha paramaguhyam sarvasiddhanta siddham sapadi nigaditam te shastra punjam vilokya jagati shuka katato nirmalam nasti kinchit piba parasuka hetur dvadasha skanda saram. So, O Shaunaka, after studying multitudinous scriptures, Sarva Siddhanta Siddham, after studying multitudinous scriptures, I have shared with you the topmost secret, Parama Guhyam. This is the essence of all scriptures. In this world, there is nothing more purifying than these pastimes narrated by Shukadeva Goswami. Jagati Shukakatito Nirmalam Nasti Kinchit. Therefore, if you wish to experience transcendental bliss, drink this nectar in the form of the 12 cantos. Piba Parasukha Hetor Dvadasha Skanda Saram. And then he says that the word Shushrubi is also very important. When those who desire to hear Bhagavatam, as soon as a person desires to hear Bhagavatam, the Lord becomes situated in the heart of a person. Srimad Bhagavatam is like a rat trap. Just like a rat trap traps a rat. Srimad Bhagavatam is like a trap which traps the Krishna in the heart of a person who desires to hear. So it goes without saying, when the devotee actually engages in hearing, the Lord becomes totally bound up by him. That means a person will develop prema. So that means the topmost goal, which is not available through any other process, even after it has been perfected, can be had merely by desiring to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. That is why the word Sadhya and Tatshanat both have the same meaning. But both words are used. Although they have the same meaning, but both words are used to emphasize this fact. So therefore, one should not consider these words, one of the words, to be redundant or unnecessary repetition. Or alternatively, Sadhya can mean that by other processes, the Lord may become momentarily captivated. But in contrast, a person who desires to hear Bhagavatam, the Lord remains steadfastly captivated from that very moment. So therefore, such a result is possible because Srimad Bhagavatam is the incarnation of Krishna in the form of a book. So, but to have this kind of experience, one must have kriti bihi. A person must be free from envy. Now, in the next anuccheda, Jiva Goswami will explain the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. Very detailed explanation of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, because next anuccheda will say that's how the conclusion of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam is Bhagavan only, not the impersonal Brahman. That will be explained in the next anuccheda. A little long anuccheda. It will take maybe at least 3-4 sessions. 3 sessions at least. I think. Let us see. So, anybody has any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, those who have not acted piously in their previous life, who are not virtuous, they would not have inclination to your Srimad Bhagavatam. So then, if you just leave those souls like this only, not encourage them, or then I mean that It'll keep on happening from. I mean, they would never come to a point unless and until. Like, can you switch off the recording, Prabhuji? 1 minute.